Hello, everybody, and welcome to this week's episode of Hard Claim with Viva Sam. I'm Sam, and this is a show where we talk to people who play Blood on the Clocktower and get their player perspective of the game. And joining us for this week's episode is Bryant. Thanks for joining us.
Hi, happy to be here.
All right, we do like to start with our opening Hard Claim question. We've sent out tokens. You are the evil twin. Your good twin is directly across from you, seat 7. They are the philosopher.
Oh, okay.
So, yeah, this might make the hard claim question quite easy, but if this is day 1, what would you like to claim?
I'm probably claiming philosopher. I mean, I'm not beholden to that. I would be happy to claim other things, but probably in this situation, I'll probably just claim a philosopher. Unless I have a conversation with seat 7 early on.
Makes sense.
They could always make charm and,
Do you have a particular strategy as either the evil twin or the good twin when, just kind of playing people out, or?
So, when I play, I'm either the first execution or I'm there until final 3. I just try to not be the first execution, whether I'm good or evil, because if I go first, I can't get my good twin executed. I feel I'm just the safety valve, so I just try to not be suspicious.
I really like giving Philosopher as an evil bluff, whether it's a demon bluff or as a twin pair, just because I love evil being able to having that freedom to kind of choose what ability they want to pretend to have, and at the same time they can pretend to be drunking somebody and putting doubt on their info. So being an evil twin in a pair with a philosopher, would you have a strategy for how you would utilize that in the game?
Well, I'm definitely going to claim to use my ability early. Every time I've had a philosopher good twin, when somebody's not using it until late in the game, people start to wonder why. I'm probably not going to claim that I went Clockmaker or something that I can mess up day 1 info, because that's just really suspicious at this point. I'm probably picking a powerful role, but not Savant, because I hate to come up with Savant info. I might do... I'll probably claim I used it day 2, and I'm probably looking for a powerful role I think is in play, but nobody has directly claimed it to me. So I at least can act like I didn't intentionally drunk them. But my goal is to make them think they're drunk if they're getting good info.
I did give a evil twin pair once with a Savant, and there's also a Barista in the game. So, I don't remember which order I did this. One night I did a Barista 2 on the Savant, and then a Barista 2 on the evil twin, so that they could claim that they've used their Savant ability twice, and so that requires coming up with 2 sets of information for both myself and then for the evil twin.
Yeah. No, I don't like to come up with Savant info, so I'm not Philo Savant ever.
Fair.
I just can't. I can't make it up, so I'm not going to try.
All right. So, Blood on the Clocktower. How long ago was it that you discovered the game, and how?
Discovered... What year would that have been? It would have been 2021. I mean, all right. I discovered it the way a lot of people discovered it. I caught it on New Rolls Bard. I think that seems to be the typical answer these days. Wasn't intending to. I knew... I found that channel. It just popped up in my recommendations when it was Phenomenerd. I recognized Adam because I'd seen him through wrestling stuff because I'm a wrestling fan. So I was like, oh, wrestling board games. This is a good channel. And I'm so watching Board Game Club, stuff like that. And then I see a Blood on the Clocktower video. And it came up on autoplay. And I exited out. I'm like, I don't want to watch this. Looks like an RPG. I'm not into role-playing games at all. I don't have any desire. And it happened every night. That would pop up as the autoplay, and I'd turn it off. And one night, I was too lazy, didn't have my remote, whatever. About 5 minutes later, I was like, oh, this is pretty cool. And pretty much fell in love with it then. So it's whatever year that was. And then I watched basically every video they had, every video anybody else had, which wasn't terribly many at the time. Wasn't as saturated as it is now. And I finally got to play like 6 months or a year later. So uh, I watched a lot, then I played, and then I became addicted.
Yeah. And do you remember what those first game or several games were like for you?
First game I played was at a convention in Cincinnati. Sarah, who's one of our storytellers at the Grimoire, which I'm advertising, uh, was running the game. It's like 15 people. I drew Empath. Um, I knew how the game worked. I knew what to do and stuff, but it was a whole different beast when you actually had people playing and people that didn't even know what the game were playing at a convention. So I definitely remember that game very vividly. Trying to get my neighbors killed. It's like, hey, do you mind dying? Why would I want to die? Like, some people don't quite understand that at the beginning. And finally get around, and I get an empath one for the first time, and I'm so happy. And I say, we need to execute this guy. And he says, I'm the saint. Nobody executes him. He's the imp. He star passes that night. We never had a chance after that.
Great.
So that was my first game. Then I found online. That was in October. I found online like February, right? Like a couple months before the official app came out, playing it on Discord. Um, Found that through. I did a new player night uh, at the time East Coast Gamers. Everybody Can Game, now defunct. Did one of their new player nights and ended up playing till 2 or 3 a.m. online in Discord. I've hooked ever since.
What do you think has hooked you about the game exactly?
Man, I really don't know. Like, I had played a little bit of Werewolf and I enjoyed it. I think I like the chaos is probably what I like the most. Not necessarily even creating it, because I used to play way more chaotic. I don't play near as chaotic as I used to. But I enjoy the puzzle of all this crazy stuff's happening and figuring out why. Trying to put the pieces together, or being on the evil team and trying to spin the pieces that are falling in place to deflect from the demon. So I think I just enjoy the puzzle.
Yeah. And for you, what was that transition like going from in-person games to like online games?
It was fairly easy for me. I'd only played the one time in person in that October, and then I didn't get to play again because I didn't really have in person groups here. Then I played a couple games online on Discord and found a couple of servers that had games and started to meet some people through that. And so I played just that one or two games that first night in person, and then it was all online for the next few months, and finally found a meetup in the area around me that I went to and played in person again. So um, for me, it was, while my first game was in person, this was more of an online first game for me. So
Okay, yeah.
While my first game was in person, my first mess of games was all online, and so I got used to that. And it changed a whole lot when I was first starting. The Discord apps I struggled with, frankly, because it's hard to tell who's talking. You've got different usernames on Discord than I've got on the Grim. And very quickly after that, we got the official app, even though in beta. Game changer, all the bugs still. That was just, when that happened, it was like opening Pandora's box. It was all game all the time. I was probably playing 5 nights a week till 2 or 3 in the morning. Thankfully, my work didn't suffer and I didn't get fired. But so the in person, I haven't gotten to play quite as much in person. It's usually at conventions. I've played with you in Lexington. That was not long after I'd played. That was around the time the app first came out. It was the first time I played there. I've played at a lot of conventions. We've had meetups. I've started hosting at my house at game stores nearby. I found other people in the area. We go to libraries. We go to bars. Wherever we can find spots that we can get people to come to.
Right.
We love it in person, but it's so much easier online. So I can't fault either of them. I love them both, really.
Yeah. Yeah. Always love I prefer playing in person. I always say that playing online's made this my favorite game ever, hands down, and that playing in person's even better. There's a lot to be said about the easiness of playing online, finding people, easy access to custom scripts without needing to, sort through or collecting tokens, and yeah.
The funny thing though is I probably find myself really enjoying in person because we don't do those custom scripts as much. You have a lot of new
That's
players.
fair.
You play a lot of Trouble Brewing, and I freaking love Trouble Brewing. I'm at the point where I've played so much that I just want that good. Give me Trouble Brewing. Give me Sex and Violence. There's that other one too. But I'm at the point where like, okay, customs are great, but the base 3's better. So I kind of like the in person. You get new players and teach them Trouble Brewing and just go for it.
Yeah, we usually run Trouble Brewing, of course, for our week or our monthly in-person meetups because usually we have new players. Last month was the first time in a while that we didn't have anybody new join, so we did run Bad Moon Rising, that mysterious other one that you mentioned. But
it's a good problem. Good problem to have. New players showing up.
Yeah, and for my online games, I'm a lot like you. I love custom scripts. To me, I think without custom scripts, I wouldn't be as interested in the game overall as I am today. But Trouble Brewing, even for my veteran players who have played hundreds of games, it's the most consistent experience.
Yeah, I would not have played as much as I have without custom scripts, but man, those base 3, there's something special about them.
Yeah,
base 2 and Bad Moon Rising,
and it comes with just tons and tons and tons of playtesting that hopefully the expansion scripts, I assume, are going to have the same treatment. So, some of these characters who we know as kind of janky sometimes and have weird interactions, if they have a home expansion, my assumption is that it'll fit right in there.
Don't get me wrong, I like janky interactions. It's just, I like my customs as just like a dessert almost, but I'd rather have my meat and potatoes.
Yeah, that's fair. So sometimes I like to think about that progression because we're talking about new players, for example, but especially playing online, you tend to find a lot of people who have played over and over because it's so easy to do. Can you think of any aha moments you've had, so to speak, going from say a new player to intermediate player to an experienced player?
I think there's definitely that aha moment that you realize your experience for me was when I wanted to play Trouble Brewing again.
Yeah.
I didn't want to play it. I wanted to play the cool stuff. And I realized, no, that's a really good experience. That was, once I realized I could play Trouble Brewing all night long, that's when I knew I'd played it enough to really appreciate what Trouble Brewing was. I would say my other aha moment of when I realized I didn't understand the game as much as I thought I did was that first night I played online. Game 1, we did Trouble Brewing. Game 2, I did Sex and Violence, which I had my first time playing it. And I got the Pit Hag, and I was excited. And my first conversation, person comes up to me and says, "Hey, I'm the Dreamer. I dreamt you as the Pit Hag and something else. What are you?" And I froze, and I realized I didn't know what to say. I ended up stumbling around, claiming Clockmaker. They said, "Okay, I'm not really the Dreamer. I was just curious," and then they trusted me the rest of the game. But that sheer dread, I realized I didn't understand S&V as much as I thought I did.
My first S&V experience, we had, I don't remember exactly what happened. I remember we had somebody that we were pretty certain was a demon. And I think maybe for some reason we didn't get enough votes on him. Or maybe somebody broke madness and somebody else got executed. I don't know. Either way, we're like, oh, we'll just execute him tomorrow. And then tomorrow comes and he's dead. We're like, well, that doesn't make any sense. And long story short, I think in that particular game it was the Pit Hag that had made it new demon. But we just did not understand that at all. Yep. Even after the game, we're looking at the Pit Hag ability. It's like, what does it mean make a new demon and Dest or Arbitrary? What is... So that was sorting through that was one of I feel like one of my beginner to intermediate kind of moments. And then with Trouble Brewing specifically, I one big aha moment I remember having was like I was pretty sure my information was wrong, and we thought somebody else's information wrong, and then we thought somebody else's information was wrong, and I finally got to the point it's like, there's only like one poisoner and one drunk, and there can only be, and a lot of people go through this, but like there can only be like so much misinformation that going on at one time, and that aha moment helped me like solve what was going on in that game, and I really enjoyed that moment.
You've also got the moment where you first realize that a spy can trigger a virgin. Just those weird interactions that people, the Slayer shooting the Recluse, like those interactions that you don't realize the first time you play it. On this script that we've got up, S&V, it's when you're the pit hag and you realize you can make a good evil twin. And that one really breaks people's brains the first time you do it. So I do enjoy every time you see that first time that there's an interaction, and people around the circle have to get the rule explained to them.
Another moment. This was as a storyteller on my perspective, but one big moment I remember having was we had everybody was pretty experienced at this point, but we had one player who was still pretty new to at least Sex and Violets, and she was an outsider. And on one night, a Fengu jumped to her, so she became an evil Fengu. Then the following night, a Snake Charmer chose her, and she became a good Snake Charmer. So within 2 nights, she became good, went from good to evil to good, which is something I very rarely see. And that was just another, like, what is going on moment.
I had a game as a player where I started as... Oh, what did I start as? I started as an outsider. I think I started as the politician. The second night, I was told I was the Fengu. The next night, I was told I was the Fengu again because apparently I'd been turned into a lunatic. And then I got jumped to. I didn't know who my evil team was. I couldn't get anyone to give me any information. The next day, I think a barber was executed, or I killed the barber one. And I thought I knew who the pit hag was, so I just swapped myself with them, and I became the pit hag. Then I turned myself into the evil twin and saw the drunk. And it's like I had like 6 roles in 6 nights.
Yeah, I've had moments like that too, where I've woken up somebody like 4 different times in one night for various reasons. Yeah, that goes, I guess, to some of the chaos that can just happen in this game. Some of that even just on the base script and not even customs. Yeah.
Oh, you were running my game that I became. That was the. I think I was the Fengu that got Snake Charm Night 2 and then claimed to be the good evil twin that saw Pit Hag. I mean, you can lie through your teeth and it confuses a lot of people.
Trying to think back to that, but I remember now that was that in-person game, the last game of that con. Yeah.
Yes. We did a hard Vortex check. And
yeah. It's like, last game of the con, why not? And sure enough, it was not Vortex.
Nope. We found it out at the end when I gave him the info, and we finally figured it out in one.
Yeah, the poor Snake Chummer who picked you was bluffing something that was a demon bluff, and unfortunately, that's just how that went.
That was Chris that I think plays in your local group.
Yep, and we've interviewed him here before too.
Yep, that was a couple weeks ago. I saw that he travels up and plays with us up here too.
Yeah, and he's if anybody watching this does come to about the Lexington area, we do games pretty much once a month, and Chris is there every time, and it's a lot of fun. All right, so when you are sitting down for a game, you're about to draw a token. How are you feeling? What are you thinking at that time?
I'm not I don't care what I draw. I don't care if I get good. I don't care if I get evil. I've played enough now. It doesn't faze me. It doesn't matter what I pull. If I pull a minion, I don't need bluffs. If I pull a demon, I don't need bluffs. It doesn't matter. I think when I started playing and I sat down, I want that red token. I want to be evil. Now, I could pull Mathematician here and be happy. It doesn't matter to me anymore. There's a fun game that can be had no matter what you pull, no matter what happens to you. So I'm chill. I'm not nervous. I'm not worried about what I'm going to get. It's like, let's just play this game. It's going to be fun.
Yeah. And usually that goes to my next question. Although this sounds like you pretty much already answered it, and
Oh,
as if
okay.
you prefer to draw a blue or red token.
Oh, yeah, I don't care. I mean, I prefer red, but I'm happy to draw blue. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Like, it's if I draw blue, I don't mind drawing damsel. I don't mind drawing uh, anything that people don't like. It's like it doesn't matter. I've been the saint so many times; it's ridiculous. I'm like a saint magnet. I don't think I've ever been executed as the saint though, so got that going for me. I have been as the good twin though.
Yeah, I think I ran that game or one of those games if
You
I
did.
remember correctly.
You,
Yep.
you ran one of them, yes, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
one of them.
if you go back and dig through your old streams, if you still got them, there's me.
Yeah, probably not back that far, unfortunately, but yeah. So it sounds like you don't really have that much of a preference what kind of characters you play, but do you have a preference at all? Like, do you prefer passive or something that does something? Yeah,
I definitely have characters I prefer. Like, I think like most people, I'd rather be active. I don't really want to be savant or flower girl or something where I have to do a lot of work. But you give me something where I get info every night. I'm like it. You give me a chance to snake charm and become the demon. I love it. I don't care if I snake charm night one and lose. Like, let's just go. Like, it's fun. I prefer active roles, but I don't need them. I mean, I can tell you the types of roles I do and don't like, but I don't know if we are necessarily all in agreement on this. I am not a fan of roles that give the storyteller a ton of agency. And I know storytellers usually prefer the agency. I want my black and white. This is the mechanically how these characters work, so I can try to figure it out. So, like, fishermen, I don't like. Savant, I don't like. I don't like Lil Monster, where the storyteller picks who dies. You can throw on Yagababble and all the rest of the storyteller picks who dies roles. Like, the last thing I want to be is a sage in a Yagababble game. Like, I don't. I want it to be based on what we do, not what the storyteller does. I hate atheist. I just won't play a game with atheist. I will rarely play a game with atheist. If everybody else wants to, I'm not going to object, but you're never going to see me wanting to pull that one out. I want mechanical information, even if it's tricky or crazy or confusing. I like the roles that a robot could run the game. I know that might hurt your storyteller ears, but
no, I mean, I don't go like storytelling. Like, characters like Savant and Fisherman are the hardest for me, because I'm better with the mechanical stuff.
yep.
But as a player, I don't really mind. But we are focused as a players, I guess. But
Yeah.
but I think it's totally fair. I mean, yeah, it's a preference.
I want to control what's going to happen, not like I'm at the whims of somebody else. And don't give me riddles for fisherman advice. Just putting that out there.
I would agree with that as well. Slightly off topic, but is this also why you're not really into like role playing games, like like D&D and stuff?
Probably, like, I don't feel that I have like that. If I see like D&D, I don't feel like I can like visualize what's going on and like get into the world. I just want the mechanical work through this. And I've never played D&D. I don't want to have to like think of a character and try to picture the setting, and so yeah, that's probably why. Like, that's just not my
That's
thing.
fair. Yeah. And do you have a particular characters you prefer to bluff, whether you're good or evil?
Oh, I bluff Philosopher a lot, just because I can back into it. You can bluff Pixie a lot because if you double claim, it's not that big a deal. I like to bluff Oracle a lot. I feel like I fake Oracle a lot. Just, I don't know why it doesn't feel like it goes in the bag as often as it probably should. It feels like it goes in less than some of the others, and I can work with that. Like on this one, I won't bluff Mathematician because I will mess up what numbers were possible, and then I get myself killed. I won't bluff outsider much on the script because too many people I play with just want to execute outsiders, so that they don't become demons. Um, and I hate when I mess up outsider count. Like, oh, it's base 0 outsiders, and you're an outsider. We better kill you for you're the Fangu. Um, but I don't shy away from bluffing powerful rolls and double claiming people, because worst case scenario, they have to decide which of us is telling the truth. So if I can bluff a fortune teller, you have to figure out which of us is the actual fortune teller and which of us is giving you bad info. So yeah, I might die in the end for it, but you might not trust the other one either. So
That's
go big
fair.
or go home.
Right. So we pulled up the S&V here. Why did you pick Sex and Violets over Trouble Brewing, just out of curiosity?
Well, I know I've watched some of these, and I'd seen Trouble Brewing a few times. And if I love S&V, I really do. I love the things going crazy, the chaos. I love the pit hag. I love the snake charmer. I love all that. I think Trouble Brewing's the better script. But if I am wanting to have a fun 2 hours of my time, I'm playing S&V. It's not near. I don't think it's always as balanced or as solvable, or maybe it's probably more solvable at times, but it's not as. It doesn't feel as clean as Trouble Brewing, but I like that. I like that it feels a little sloppy at times.
Yeah. Yeah, I think it's probably sort of the opposite reason why I prefer Trouble Brewing slightly over S&V. Because my thoughts are, I mentioned Trouble Brewing's a very consistent experience, and like on a high level too. S&V, I think, has higher highs, but also lower lows. And, the lowest lows are still pretty fun, but you kind of talk about that solvability, and, sometimes you just have a game where everybody just kind of figures out what's going on, and it's like, well, okay, that's it.
I love Trouble Brewing, don't get me wrong. I think it's the better script. But the lowest lows of S&V is usually like a day 1 or 2 re-rack. That just means I get to play again. Like, I can get 2 great games and one bad game that only took like 30 minutes. Okay, I'm fine with that.
That makes sense.
I'm not bringing new players into this, though.
Yeah. And I've seen what it's like for having new players in S&V, or even worse, like catfishing.
Oh, gosh. No.
Yeah. I don't know why somebody decided to make the decision, but that was a decision that was made.
I won't comment on that.
All right. So what about Bad Moon Rising? What is it about that you don't really care for?
I think that the information that you're presented with just doesn't click for me as well. Sometimes it's just there's too many ways that this might have happened. Too many ways that there were no deaths at night, or that there were 5 deaths at night, or any number in between, and it just doesn't click with me as well. Now, when I have story told S&V or Bad Moon Rising, I like to storytell Bad Moon Rising better. I feel like it's more mechanical of what I need to do. It's got more complex interactions at times, but if you go down your list and you do your check marks, I find it smoother and easier to run. But as a player, it just doesn't click with my brain the same. So it's not that I hate it. It's got its place. It's just not one that I'm great with.
It's funny because I feel almost the exact same way, both from a storyteller and player perspective. Because playing it, I don't mind playing it. It's fun, but basically, like what you said, there's for any given thing that happens, there's like 5 different reasons for why it did or didn't happen. And to some extent, that's true of all scripts, or at least any good script. But like BMR really seems to ramp it up. But then storytelling it, the mechanicalness of it just really fits my brain better. And Oh, go figure.
Yeah. It's just one of those, like, if you can follow the rules as a storyteller, you don't have to figure out why it happened. You just have to know that it did. And I mean, unless you throw Puckett in, it's not too complicated. And I don't think that's as complicated, but that's where I usually see people messing up their ordering the most is well, what happens if this player's poisoned here and then this one? I mean, other than that, it's pretty much just go down the list.
Yeah. I was wondering for your end if you didn't really like it because it does have I mean, S&V obviously has a lot of storyteller decision in its own way, but BMR, like, storyteller decisions extremely important. And I didn't know if that was a turnoff for you at all. You're thinking like pacifist, gossip,
Yeah,
things
I
like
don't
that.
I don't really like those characters. They fall in my group of characters I don't really like, but I mean, they're no worse to me than on here when I've got well, not artist, but mutant deciding when to execute, or dreamer what other role to give, or
Hmm.
savant especially. Like, that's just a different. I don't find those any worse um, than what I would see on S&V, even though I'm not a big fan of them. Like, I don't like to be the gossip, but I don't I don't find it worse than other characters.
Yeah, that's fair. So speaking of this script, again, this introduces madness to players. So how do you feel about madness as a mechanic in this game?
My only real problem with Madness is the consistency of how it's run. And I don't mind if different storytellers don't run it the same way, but knowing how your storyteller runs it is very important. And
Hmm.
I don't know that that always happens. And I don't, things like Mutant, where or sorry, Ceranos, where you have to be mad that you're a character. I personally don't like where it's implied that you have to be mad that there's not a Ceranovus in play, because I don't see that anywhere in the ability. So I always have to make sure that I know how my storyteller is going to run it. If I'm the clockmaker and the Ceranovus makes me mad as the clockmaker, am I allowed to say, "Hey, I'm the clockmaker. Ceranovus also chose me," or is that going to get me executed? But you just, I wish that it was more consistent across all storytellers. I think that the horse is out of the barn on that one. But the very important thing for me whenever I see madness rolls is, how is my storyteller going to run it? And that's something you should talk about before tokens are even drawn. Like, you don't want to draw your
Yeah.
token and be like, "How's this mutant work?" So, um,
Yeah.
especially if you've got newer players playing, I will try to ask the storytellers to make sure that they explain it to newer players what they're going to do and what they're going to expect. So I don't dislike Madness. I mean, I think I like it, like on the Harpy, where you have to be mad that somebody's evil. I like Mutant. I like all the Madness roles, but I do think you have to be very clear between players and storyteller how that's actually going to run in your game.
Yeah, that's pretty fair. And yeah, I guess thankfully with my group, most players I play with have played with me for many many games. So sometimes I take it for granted that I do try to go over madness every now and then when it comes up. Oftentimes I forget. I try not to, but like yeah, I do take it for granted sometimes that people just kind of know. Now, when I've ran it in person, I definitely go over it because for a lot of them it is their first time doing it. Last time I ran it in person, and this was only with 4 players alive, so it wasn't like a big deal, thankfully. But a player did learn that if you're made mad by a Ceranovus and then you die that same night, you still have to be mad because you can still be
Yeah,
executed while dead.
I've seen games end where the good twin is killed is dies to a witch curse, and then comes out and goes, "Oh, I was Ceranovus mad," and it's like, well,
Oh no!
now you're
Yeah,
dead. So now the
yeah.
game's over. I mean, I've lost games to Ceranovus, as the good twin, so I can't fault the player too much. It's if you really go back digging, there's a YouTube video where I have made it through the whole game. We've got the whole game solved. We know who the demon is. We know who the evil twin is. I'm the Oracle, and I get made mad at something else. And I wake up, and there's clearly been a Fengu jump, and I say something about, "Oh, I know why my number went up. Haha. I mean, I'm the sweetheart,
Right.
or whatever role it was." But that video exists. It's one of my lower moments.
Yeah, somewhat related, but I did have a recent game of S&V that I ran where a player, forgot that you still need to be mad if you die. You're chosen by Ceranovus at night, and then you die. And he's not a new player, but he doesn't really play S&V as much, or he hasn't in a while. So they did get the Fengu on the block that day, and he had made zero effort to be mad just because he had forgot. So even while dead, he did get executed, and the Fengu did get to jump that night. And honestly, it made for a much more interesting game because then it allowed it to get to a final 3. And good, I think, won, maybe evil won. It doesn't matter. Good did win. It was an interesting final 3, but yeah, I really don't have a point to that story. It was just a story, but
that's how stories go. You don't
right.
Points. Like, you can ramble all night.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of rambling, before we get to the next section, I had one character that I wanted to bring up just because I know you have a particular feelings about it. I think you mentioned it once before, but it's a politician.
I was going to say, is an atheist or politician? I assumed
atheist is already a character that gets brought up, so that will also be talked about. But okay. But politician, I don't usually specifically bring up. Although this is our divisive characters section, and politician, for a lot of people, are divisive. So let's just go ahead and start with that. What do you think about politician?
I hate it. If I ever draw politician again, I will just play out of politician and play for good. I think politician is one that it's very subjective about being the most what's the wording? Is it the most reason or whatever? Most at fault for your team losing, however it's worded. That's very subjective. I've had bad experiences with it. I have signed out and not played anymore in a night because politician game's ending. Which, by the way, if you ever have a really bad game and you're in a bad mood, just sign off. You don't have to keep playing another game because you're not going to have fun. So I understand that you don't want to always do it, to always make the flip. But I feel like the bar is almost too high for politician to get to turn evil. If you do something at the end that completely wrecks Good's chances, or that to me should be enough. Because at the end of the day, the goal of the game is for the players to have fun. And when that ended, everybody that was on the good team and stayed on the good team either had fun or didn't. Everybody that was on the evil team, whether they won or lost, had fun or didn't. But the politician, if they think that they succeeded and they don't get to turn and they lose, they've now had maybe had a bad game because of that and not enjoyed it. And I think when a player really feels like they've done enough and then it's not rewarded either because the storyteller just doesn't think it is, storyteller has a really high bar, or the storyteller just wasn't in the private chats where it set up the end game. I think that, I know for me, I've had very overwhelming sense of letdown that I didn't get to join the evil team and win when I strongly felt that I did what I needed to do. And it's why if I draw a politician, I'm not going to play for evil. I'm only going to play for good. I'm going to be out that I'm the politician. You can kill me or not. You can listen to me or not. But I'm not going to play for evil because I don't like that feeling that I feel like I did what I needed to do and the storyteller didn't, and so I lost.
Yeah, I think it makes sense. I don't hate politician. I'm not like the biggest fan of it. To me, it's just I think it kind of goes to what you're saying. Like, it just doesn't. I don't know. I don't find it interesting gameplay to. Like, it's a little different from a goon who, even as good, you might be playing for evil for a while because you might turn evil and that could help you. But then, if you never turn evil, then you're just going to kind of flip to trying to play for good. Politician just doesn't feel like, I don't know, it plays out the same way. I don't know.
I mean, politician. A lot of times, it's an extra player on the evil team because they think that they're going to get to turn evil, and they're not like thinking that they're going to stay good at the end. And so it's just like in a 12-player game, you've now got a fourth evil player, even though they're good, except they don't get to necessarily get the benefit of the evil win at the end because they weren't evil enough. So,
and
I don't know. It's just a letdown.
And the flip side is, and this is a completely valid way to play, so it's not a judgment, but the flip side is kind of like you said, you'll now play politician, where you're just going to play outed politician and good. Again, that's completely valid, but it's not an interesting character where that is a decision to make.
I agree. I don't want to be the politician, but if I get stuck with it, that's what I'm going to do.
Yeah. All right. Well, we've already talked about it briefly, and I think you probably kind of already mentioned the reasons, but let's go ahead and talk about Atheist. What's the deal with that?
I feel that when an atheist is used in the best case scenario with the best storyteller, you get a good game. With an average or below average storyteller, and while your players won't tell you that some of you out there exist, if an atheist in the hands of a not exceptional storyteller can just create a bad experience to me. The atheist is not just everybody's drunk and I can do what I want. I've played too many games where the breadcrumbs are just like you feel that you are drunk or poisoned and you get bad info to point to somebody being evil that isn't. And it's just, no, why? I'm just an advocate. Kill the storyteller if atheist is on the script, because storytellers like to put it in the bag. So you can win more often if you just do that. But I just don't feel like, in the best case scenario with the best storyteller, I walk away from an atheist game saying, well, that was okay. I don't ever walk away from it saying, well, that was great. Atheist is a character, again, to me, that is made for the storyteller to have fun. And I'm not saying I want the storyteller to not have fun. I'm just saying there's 12 other people sitting around the circle that are trying to have fun too. And when I've story told, I have fun if the players had fun, not because of all this wacky stuff I got to do. So,
yeah, I think all that's fair. I do consider Atheist to be the most advanced character in the entire game to storytell. And that's why it's highly suspected that it'll be on the expansion Midnight in the House of the Damned, which is the only expert level edition that the game will have. Yeah, my philosophy too is just I rarely run it, and yeah, players seem like they have fun. Maybe they're secretly not, but you know,
a lot of people will have fun playing it.
Yeah.
But some of us, like,
I mean, so many have had bad experience. Like what you said, even just an average storyteller storytelling it just doesn't really work. And I've seen people say they've done stuff in an atheist game or been in a game where it's done. I'm like, why? Like that's basically to your point. It's the storyteller's having fun for the storyteller's sake and not for the player's sake. Whether it's 12 people or maybe 15 people if you're playing here on Hard Claim, but
yes, it's like a bad amnesiac ability though. Like,
yeah,
okay, you've got a bad amnesiac ability, which might have been fun or good to the storyteller, but did it help the game? Did it help either side? Did it get us to any point of fun in the game? That one can go to whatever.
Amnesiac is another one I have a big. I feel like I run Atheist better than Amnesiac. Amnesiac I struggle with a lot because it's just so. I just don't have that creative mind for like oh, come up with an ability on the fly that's going to help this specific game and isn't going to be solved too easily, but will be helpful and blah blah blah.
I mean, best case, you're throwing an unplay tested homebrew character into a game. Like
Yeah,
that's.
kind of, yeah.
I mean, I was an amnesiac that you ran on your stream, and it got me executed. Just saying, for like, get a bingo day one, so I get executed. No sour
Yeah.
grapes here.
No comment.
Yeah.
All right. So let's go ahead and talk about a character that you've already said that you like a bit. So let's get a little positive. How about Snake Charmer? What do you like about it so much?
Chaos. I mean, don't give me the homebrew rules of it goes before minion demon info. Let's just go like, I love snake charming the demon, or I love failing to snake charm the demon and eliminate 5 demon candidates. Either way, I'm either solving the game at the end of the day is good, or I get to like throw a big wrench and have a lot of chaos at the end of the game, win or lose at that point. Like, Snake Charmer's a townsfolk because good usually wins when it's successful. So, even if the Snake Charmer doesn't.
There you go. All right. So a few more characters here. How do you feel about Poppy Grower?
Whew. I mean, you've got the video of me getting axed by my psychopath as the demon, so.
Which honestly holds up as one of my favorite moments that I've ever witnessed. And even better that because of the Snake Charmer, we had almost the exact same scenario a few weeks ago on stream.
Yep. And I will say that night when I got demon, I was feeling kind of tired, and I was like, "Oh, this is not going to be a tough game." And then I got psychopath that day one. I was like, "Oh, okay, let's play another one then." So that was a relief that night. Poppy Grower, very powerful for town, and I feel like evil almost needs something in their arsenal to combat it. If the minions and the demon are not strong enough, what do you do to get there? Like Snitch helps, at least your minions get bluffs, but then it's harder to find them because they aren't double claiming people. I feel like if Poppy Grower is there, something needs to be around to help evil combat it, because that is a big detriment to not even know who's on your team. You could be the minion and nominating your demon and voting and have no idea. So I don't hate Poppy Grower. I hate Poppy Grower poorly implemented into a script.
Yeah. Yeah, it's definitely a character that needs a good script built around it. I think of, even on No Rolls Bard, we've seen a Poppy Grower game, and there's a leech host, and the assassin kills the leech host, and then that's the game. And assassin, Godfather, these are tricky characters to pair with a Poppy Grower.
Or worst case, you've got a poisoner that's a minion, and you've got a demon, and this Poppy Grower is doing something that scares them both, so they both attack it, and then they never learn. Like,
yeah,
it's. Don't get me started if you vigor kill a minion accidentally and they're sitting next to the Poppy Grower and you then poison it. So I don't know. It seems hard to balance, and I don't hate it. I like it in theory, but evil needs a way to get rid of it.
Yeah,
work around and fight it.
I think a lot of people are under the assumption, and I don't know if it's correct or not, that Poppy Grower will somehow get reworked to maybe just add a clause that says it's not affected by drunkenness or poisoning. I don't know. It's a little bit of a challenge building scripts with poisoning on it and a Poppy Grower.
Yeah. I mean, and you can rework it or not. I don't care. Either way it comes out, I'll be happy with it. Just make sure the custom script accounts for it.
Yeah.
Give me Vizier or some loud minions that the demon can find, and an alchemist just to make it interesting.
All right, let's talk about our next character here. We have a Heretic. How do you feel about that one?
I don't have strong feelings on it. I know a lot of people don't like it. I think that...
Why it's on this section.
Yeah. I've been on an evil team where you realize at some point, oh, there's a heretic in play. and demon doesn't realize it, and they don't ever kill themselves because you can't get to private chats because you realize too late. Um, I feel like it's one that you can kind of sort out is there. For the good team, it's harder, I think, at times to not kill the demon when you've got a good lead because you don't know whether the heretic's there. I think it gives both teams something to at least worry about being in play because usually it's not going to be vocal because if it is, evil wins. But it's also a good bluff for the good team, which you don't get that often. So, I'm I don't have I don't hate the heretic. I haven't played a lot of games with it. I don't see it on a ton of scripts. Um, but I don't feel like I've ever had a game that at the end I was upset because of how it impacted the game. If it's in the game, it's usually a surprise at the end. Like you were at the game that we played that Sarah ran, or it was at her house, regardless, where we got the goblin kill, and the goblin jumped up and down and was celebrating, and the heretic sitting next to him with the big smile, like, "Yep, you just lost." So I don't mind it. I think it's a fun reveal. So that's what I look for at the end: is did I enjoy the game? Did something memorable happen? That's one of the few heretic games I've played, and it's memorable. I will not forget it. So bring on the heretic. I don't mind it.
Yeah. All right, one more character for this section, and I think I have a feeling how you'll go with this, but how do you feel about Legion?
Legion, I have not been on the good team very much when it's in play. Legion is another one that the script needs built around.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you see it get paired with Atheist a lot.
Yeah.
Seems lazy. So,
Yeah.
I don't mind Legion. I don't know that I've ever seen a vote not count because only Legion voted. So, I don't like that different storytellers do bluffs different ways, which I don't really care how they do bluffs, but like, I don't like that the storyteller chooses the deaths, although they're usually killing Legion. It's not one of my favorites, but I don't hate it. Uh, I do like. I like when I'm evil bluffing without a bluff, or if we all have the same bluffs, I'm picking something otherwise, like going off script on my bluffs. So I don't like as Legion. I kind of enjoy that I can just pick whatever townsfolk I want and just run with it.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not a character that I'm gonna be like, yeah, let's pull out a Legion script and play. But I'm not gonna avoid it. So I would rather play it than Yaga Battle. Just
Legion's definitely another character where I'll only run it very rarely because I think the threat of it's more interesting than it. Well, not to say that being in play isn't interesting, but yeah, I just don't want it in all the time, and it's very storyteller dependent. It can be difficult to run. I have started running it without giving any bluffs. Arguably, maybe I think it's how it's designed to be ran. I'm not 100% sure. Either way, it's legal, and my group, I've noticed that always just give all Legion the same 3 bluffs, but my group knows each other so well that they're pretty effective at just coordinating no matter what. In fact, usually when I give 3 bluffs, it's 3 bluffs no Legion takes because because they don't want to double claim each other. So I just started not giving bluffs, and it's all ran smoothly.
And they all claim to be village idiot, and everybody's happy. But it is one of those that like it needs a good storyteller. It needs a good script and it needs a good storyteller. And if you're missing either of those, better off playing Trouble Brewing. Just saying.
That is fair. All right, so we got one more big section here. I like to call it this or that. Some of these will be interesting just because of what you've already said. But let's start here. We'll go with a Sailor or Tea Lady.
Uh, Sailor. I think I like the uh, poisoning or drunking somebody and determining whether or not it was yourself or them. So that's one where I like the science of executing the sailor to see if that first night roll that you drink with, if they're sober or not.
Hmm.
So I like sailor. It's more of a puzzle.
Yeah, that's fair. Uh, Next up, how about empath or artist?
Empath, it's ongoing info. Artist, I struggle with what I'm going to ask. Now, I have had very powerful artist questions. Tiffy is still mad at me for my question of are Tiffy and the person she's talking to right now both evil and getting a yes. So she's still really mad at me about that one. Uh, Artists can be very powerful, but I mean, too many times it gets used to see if there's a Vortox, or it gets used to just cut off half the Grim being the demon.
Mhm.
Empath, like that Empath Zero is very powerful.
Yeah,
I'm not drunk or poisoned. I trust both my neighbors. That's a big if, but that's really good information to get.
I have been burnt on that before, where I got empath zeros and just hard trust my neighbors, and it turned out they were the demon and minion.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
I'm not one to poison as a poisoner the person next to my demon for fear of them getting empath numbers because I'd rather just frame them as drunk if they get a one. So
yeah. Empath, I think for me is an ideal role because I tend to play more passively, and empath is such a great balance of not necessarily needing to do much, but still getting information that's really good. Um, and yeah, you can try to kill your neighbors if you got a one or a two, or not. Just accept your zero and just kind of chill out from there. Or there's just tons of options, and yeah, empath is an ideal one for me.
it's a great in-person role for my play style as well because when I play online, you give me 5 minutes. I've talked to almost everybody in the circle. I've gotten a hard claim from almost everybody in the circle. Um, if it's in person, I sit back and watch more than I walk around and play, and I don't have to share that info right away. But I feel like you can collect it and you can passively work through the game, which is more how I play in person than online.
Yeah. All right. We'll go with our next two here. We have lunatic or mutant.
Mutant. Lunatic, for me, a lot of times is a 1 day roll. Um, it's almost always figured out right at the beginning. Uh, and if it's figured out later, it probably solved the game because evil tried to string you along. So usually lunatic is I don't think I'm the demon very long. Whereas mutant, the up until you're dead, you're worried that you might screw it up. Also, I love to lie about my claim, so I don't mind just pick a townsfolk and claiming it. I enjoy that. I don't mind double claiming people. If I'm talking to somebody and I heard claim, they say that's a double claim. I say okay, like so
Cool.
mutant's fine for me.
All right. Next up here, and maybe almost these should be on a controversial list or divisive list, but how about a butler or zealot?
Zealot. Not a huge fan of either because I feel that they're just different sides of the same coin.
Mhm.
Um, I vote all the time anyway, so you might as well just call me the zealot. I almost always have my hand up. Good or evil, I vote for just about everything. Butler, I don't know. I've heard all the arguments about it makes you pay attention to how people are voting. I'm either doing that or I'm not, whether I'm the butler. So that doesn't sway me too much. Um, it stops you from voting, but there's no penalty if you do when you shouldn't have, other than obviously you're cheating. People mess up all the time, accidentally vote when they shouldn't have. There's no way to fix that, nothing to do about it. Ah, Zealot, like, I'm happy. Like, if you're the Zealot, you're going to put your hand up. That's not a problem. Um, I think that my only real problem with the zealot is if you vote for everything, it's the same as voting for nothing. It just it makes it easier to hit your minimum to execute. But I mean, if I'm playing, I'm pushing people to execute anyway. So hitting the minimum's not a big deal to me. It's just the bar is one lower, or if you vote for
Yeah,
everything,
yeah.
it doesn't matter. It's the same as not voting for anything.
All right, fair enough. All right, next up we have Boom Dandy or Goblin.
I can't win as either, so it doesn't matter. Um, I always get executed as the goblin if I'm bluffing goblin, and I never do if I am the goblin. I don't know why. I've never gotten Boom Dandy to go off. I've been very close. I think I'd have to pick goblin. It's more powerful as a bluff for evil, even though it never works for me. That the demon can use it to like maybe buy one more night.
Mhm.
Boom Dandy, I feel like a lot of times the Boom Dandy going off helps the good team because
I've seen that many times
it,
before. Yeah.
it's like, well, I was thinking as this person or this person, and they died, and this one's alive, so must be them. And it also can even give you final four. You execute a Boom Dandy, you get two shots now. Like you got that execution, and you still get to pick and kill somebody. Like I don't know. It feels like it can backfire for the evil too much. So give me Goblin.
Yeah, I think probably the earlier Boom Dandy explosions are the best for evil, and late game tends to hurt them more. But then, and maybe this doesn't bother you, but I know some people just don't really like the idea of, okay, well now the game's ended because you know because you executed one character, and I don't
I
know.
mean, I'm more offended that the storyteller picked who died. For me, the game ending, it doesn't matter if it's day one or final three. That's a good thing because it means we get to play another one. So
Yeah.
I don't care. Give me a day one Boom Dandy. We'll play another one. We had extension cord at my house. We were playing extension cord, and we had a father son pair. And the father played up the I know my son's evil. I can just read it on his face. So we executed him. He was the Boom Dandy. This is the best game of the day. Like his dad was
I like
evil with
that.
him and just coached us into doing it. But
I like that.
give us the boom, end the game, we play another one. Big deal.
Yeah. All right. Next up, how about Evil Twin or Witch? Going with S&V here.
Uh, Evil Twin. Evil Twin gives you the. It's a good, like, you can buy you another day. Demons found out, but you still have to figure out the Evil Twin. You can execute the demon, that didn't win you the game. Um, Witch can get some kills and accelerate, but there's really something to be said with, okay, your demon's dead, but you still haven't lost. You still have a chance, especially if you got a pit hag that can make a
Mm-hmm.
new demon or whatever. Um, I've been the Vortox that chose myself night two to die because I had an evil twin, and my death made the good twin more suspicious. Like, you can use the evil twin. That one didn't work out because the witch thing cursed the good twin that night, and didn't go so well the next day. But
Yeah.
in theory, it was good. I don't know. I think a lot of people don't really complain kind of about evil twin, but if I'm on the evil team, I like to have one. If I'm a pit hag, I make a good evil twin late in the game, just to give us that extra day of they have to get another execution. Um, what I don't like is a small game and two good players bluffing evil twin, because if there's 7 to 9 players, we don't get that many executions, and we don't have that long to get our info together. And if you two are faking evil twin, and there's not even a twin in the game, we are not finding what we need to find, and we're not getting to where we need to go. You two had fun, but the rest of your good team didn't. So do that.
All right, let's go with another S&B choice. How about Nodashi or Fengu?
Ooh, it's hard to not say Fengu. I always love the
Yeah,
extra evil. I love the getting jumped to. Um, I gotta go Fengu. No Dashi suffers to me from being one of the easiest demons to triangulate. When you can start to see whose info's bad, you know they're close to the Nodashi probably.
yeah.
Like when you got a day one clockmaker number and it can't possibly work, what's their neighbor? Um, there's only so many ways. Well, I mean, there's what, two ways to get bad information night one on SMV, Nodashi and Vortox. Uh,
Yeah,
if I
Nodashi's
can
definitely
find where the
tricky.
bad if I can find where the bad info is, I can probably find the Nodashi. I think Nodashi to me is very much a glass cannon. It can do a lot of work for the evil team, but if you get a sense of where the poisoning is, you can get the demon.
It's really one of the big inspirations for, along with Marionette, for Extension Cord, and just that, how can I put a demon who, even on its home script, can sometimes be pretty easily found, and build a script around that and make it something where it's more hidden,
Yeah,
and there might be a bunch of different reasons why somebody's ability is not working or getting bad information. So I think
yeah,
a good storyteller can relatively help mitigate the Nodashi, but it is still tricky. Like Dreamer is one of the worst things to have next to a Nodashi because you have to be very selective about what bad information you're giving.
yeah. And I mean, a good storyteller can mitigate it, but they can't choose who the neighbors of the Nodashi are.
Hmm.
So you sometimes are just going to get that the bag goes around and you pull up the tokens and you're like, ooh, those aren't good ones to have next to the Nodashi. And it just it can just be found too easy. I mean, I love Nodashi, but of all the demons, it's probably the easiest for me to find.
Yeah. All right, one more here, and I did semi randomly pick these characters before hearing your thoughts about Yagababble or Oho.
Oh, ho. I mean, okay, so Yaga Babel for me, I've already commented on storyteller getting the kills. I like the idea of simulating like a witch or a harpy or whatever with a
Mhm.
Yaga Babel midday. I it's questionable what kind of phrase you're going to get as a Yaga Babel. Like
Mhm.
you might get a phrase that's like, oh yeah, the storyteller's like, this is a phrase I would use all the time in a game, and you give it to me, and I'm like, I would never say that, or I wouldn't phrase it that way. And how am I going to get kills without people knowing? Um, so I think what phrase you get can be a problem, and not having control over who you kill can be a problem. As Oho, like Oho, it's very powerful. That like I don't know if this rolls in the game, but by golly, if it is, I need it to die right now. So I love to be able to choose what role I'm killing. I don't really care what player it is. I just like here. I want the savant out of the game. I don't care who it is. Um, or I kill somebody at random because there's not one in the game. Either way, I'm happy. Um, I probably, as the Oho, I for some reason I think I pick different roles than other people do. And normally by like day three, people are like, "Well, it can't be an Oho game. The Puzzle Master's dead." I'm like, "Well, the Puzzle Master's dead because I didn't want them to just get the demon info. Like, I
Right.
chose Puzzle Master. I wanted them to die. I know they're an outsider, but I mean, it's pretty clear who's drunk here. So,
Mhm.
um, it, I would I'd rather be Oho 8 days a week.
Fair enough. All right, one final question here, and looking at the script, what character would you like to be in real life?
In real life,
Yeah.
hmm, which of these makes the most money? Uh, probably. Well, I mean, I am the klutz. I'm not going to say that. I think Pit Hag because, like, in real life. somebody's doing something I don't like, I'll turn them into something else. Like,
Turn them into a toad.
we'll have all kinds of outsiders walking around here. Or I'll turn myself into something else if I get tired of being it. It's like pit hag. We didn't talk about this earlier because we never really talked about pit hag. I don't like as pit hag to just make outsiders. That's lazy. Don't do it. I like a hidden pit hag that change your evil team around. Make drunks, make things that people don't know it's a pit hag until it's too late. So pit hag, love pit hag. Just don't just make outsiders.
It's a good character. Yeah. All right. Well, before we go, and I know that there is there anything you'd like to plug?
Join.thegrim.gg. Our Discord server is, well, by the time you're seeing this, probably has surpassed 2,000 members. We run games all the time. We have games on Sunday nights and Wednesday nights. We have streams on Mondays. We now have games at your friendly times on Thursdays. We have a stream at your friendly time that was today. Today's Wednesday for you watching on some other date. We have Oceania games now that are 5 a.m. for me, so I never play them. We have a very active community. We have games literally all the time. Sam's there, and he will mock you for your bad rules questions about why your yes but don't questions is what he's gonna get after you about. Just don't. Yes, but just don't. But he sets us straight on rules a lot. Have a lot. I mean, it's a community that I met them last May or June. It's about 30 people just looking to play a game once a week, and now I could play a game with them any night I want. We have usually 3 games going at once on Wednesdays and Sundays. We really love new players coming to join us. Trouble Brewing all the time. If you come and you're afraid of playing, just say, hey, I've never played before. We'll play Trouble Brewing. And if anybody is not nice to you, we'll get after them. We like new players, so come and we'll try to make it as easy as we can for you. Join.thegrim.gg.
It really is a server that's exploded in popularity in a pretty short amount of time, I feel like. And I do think that speaks to the quality of the server. It is definitely a place that I recommend new players are looking for a place to, play the game for the first time. It's a great place. I would love to be that place, but I am much more limited in my resources. And one game or one session a week isn't much that I can accommodate new players very often. So the Grim definitely a great place for that.
Hey, I'm still in your hard claim Discord. When I was there before you rebranded it.
Yep.
So you can still join Sam's stuff too.
Absolutely.
You can join us too. There's room for everyone.
All right. Well, Bryant, thank you for joining us.
Been a pleasure.
Yeah.
I look forward to being afraid to watch myself.
I feel that. All right. And thank you all for watching. We'll be back next week with another episode of Hard Claim. Thank you.
See ya.